All right, Jennifer, we'll turn it over to you.
Commissioners, thank you. We'll take another stab at this, and hopefully we're coming close to being in balance and balancing for 2020's budget. So the first page we have is the revenue summary page. We've made some adjustments to some of the revenues, more specifically in the treasurers for retail sales tax receipts and for interest income. So the revenue has grown to $38,037,569. There is a typo on the top of the page. The top number for the 2020 maintenance level is at $9,136,958. That should read $11,636,958. The math works, it's just that number is incorrect. Next page is the expense summary. This is similar to the one that we had yesterday. So the expenses after maintenance level is $38,060,630 against a revenue of $38,037,567. That shows that we're at $23,060 out of balance. One of the recommendations was to remove one-time expenditures that are sitting in the maintenance level adjustment from this year's budget and put them forward as budget supplements if we need them in 2020. And we've got those itemized, we'll go over that in just a moment. So that would add back $141,000, as well as adjustments for training. And so that would leave us with $37,873,409 in expenditures, with a net balance gain of $187,220 in our budget. Some of the items that we need to consider that are not in maintenance, or can consider that are not in maintenance or in the PLRs at this point, is a request to discuss reducing traffic policing by $160,000 to $2 million. To remove travel and training that's in maintenance and put it at the level that it is going to be spent in 2019. So no increase, but put it at the level that is in it in 2019. To transfer out of the Veterans Fund $45,000 to the Veterans Special Fund, transfer out from the current expense fund into the Veterans Fund $45,000, as well as another $5,000 for donations to the North and South Veterans Group. Then as a placeholder, we have one-time expenses that are PLR level for $292,415, as well as travel and training that are still in the PLR level at $22,295. So what the commissioners have is a list of what were categorized in column 4, adjustments to maintenance level, for $1,277,232, and they've been categorized for what was requested yesterday: those dollars that are revenue neutral, those dollars that are non-discretionary, and those dollars that are discretionary. So at this point, if the commission wants to go through each one of those, they can modify what's in maintenance at this point in time to get back to the $141,100 that are being removed out of maintenance level. If you look at the numbers, you have color-coded green. Those, in summary, come to the $141,100 that are at the bottom of the page and being reduced out of maintenance level and being put back in as non-approved budget expenditures for 2019.
Did we find out anything about the copier leases? You know, why there's such a difference?
Some of them, to answer no specifically, but in some cases there are 2 or 3 copiers, so it's a number of copiers. Not everybody purchases copiers from the same vendor, so there are different levels of increases that are potentially in these copier increase requests.
In talking to one department, it was a guesstimate of how much it was going to go up, so I don't know if that's across the board, how that was figured, but.
Do you know what the average is per year that they go up, or is there an average?
I don't know.
Do you recall off of your copiers?
Of an increase?
Yeah.
Well, our lease, I don't think it actually goes up in our lease period, but it depends, of course, on your use, because then you'd have more maintenance, more paper, more toner. So it's usually your charge per copy, black and white and color, is locked in on your lease. And the copiers do vary, like out front we have a fancier color one, but in the back we just have bare bones.
So, and if the lease expires, then there's a new lease that needs to be
Right.
renewed,
So
so that could go up.
Yeah, if the
Usage will drive
department-
it.
Yeah, if they're not changing the number of copiers in their budget and it's not a new lease period, it really shouldn't vary a lot unless they're taking on some new big paper copy project. And what we have found, it's one of the few expenses that has gone down over the years, because as we get different copiers, our rates haven't increased very much. And we scan so much anymore, I know our prices haven't gone up very much in the last 5 years probably.
Great, thank you.
So as I look through here, just a couple of quick questions. We have some utility increases in facilities and parks and trails that were listed under discretionary. Can you explain that a little bit?
We don't know what they're going to go up, those are estimates. So in that regard, and especially in the parks where we have a water increase of $12,000, 12,000 of that 16,000 is a water increase. We will be repairing the irrigation system up at MCRA, so that should eliminate that $12,000 increase in water. But it's discretionary in the fact that we don't know exactly how much the rates are gonna go up.
I called PUD and the water and the gas, and they all said it's gonna be anywhere from 8 to 10%. So I put 8% in increase.
So I guess where I'm headed with that is, my guess is that would be non-discretionary. Commissioners, what do you think?
So, and you're talking facilities, the 61,200?
And the 15,891 in parks.
Okay, so both of those move over into the non-discretionary.
Not like we can't pay them. Is that correct?
But to be clear, all of these items listed here, discretionary, non-discretionary, are incorporated into this with a net positive of 187,220.
1, 2, 3 equals,
Right.
and that's what's on,
But all of these are in here
correct,
with a
Yes.
net positive of 187,000.
correct.
Okay.
after we removed the 141,000, the green, so.
After we remove these green items.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So just kind of from where I stand, so just taking a look at what's here, I think we should do the veterans, money for the veterans, and Commissioner Evan, I'll kind of defer to you on the 5,000 for the north-south, if you want to explain that a little bit more for, so it's clear, but I think it would be a worthwhile thing for us to consider.
Yeah, on the veterans one though, again, since we have the capacity, can we do it as a shift, as a levy increase? That's the important one, so they can plan for the future and not just have it be a one-time infusion. That would change us from the lowest, as you already know, the lowest possible levy amount that we could even charge. We just added it just a touch. But it would be ongoing, and I don't agree with that. And then I'll go on that one, then I was gonna explain the five.
Okay,
Don't forget the five first.
Yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
so the $5,000 one, remember we had like Steve Abels all
Yeah.
that came in. There's definitely a big hole in how we can service the veterans. How it all came about is I went to a meeting with the VA and all these guys from the state. They all came down there and talked about what they had to offer and what they had to be able to provide for them. And when they were done, it came out to none of the things that they were trying to do, anything. It just wasn't even a possibility. That's why we never took advantage also of that grant we had, because it just didn't make any sense. While I was there, they started talking about the real issues that they have. You have a gentleman that goes out there on his motorcycle and they scrounge to get a $5 gas card or shower tokens and stuff. They have the same issue out here. You have people like Tom over here that will go out and they'll meet with them. Trying to get that money out of these organizations is almost impossible, but they do it. They find a way to take it out of their pockets and do it. I'd like to be able to start just a fund to allow it would be two different organizations that would handle it for all the veterans. In the north end, it would be the North Mason Resources, so they go through them to get these vouchers and stuff out to all these people there in the woods, to get them their shower tokens and stuff. And the same thing would be for down south. It would be the VFW, of which he's actually even agreed that to use it as a test program, that he would even back up that amount of money, the $2,500 per north and south. Originally, I was talking a lot more, but after doing further discussions, it seemed wiser to go small. Let's see if they can handle it, what they can handle it with. I'd like to do it as simple as possible though, so it's not a bunch of strings. They don't have to do 10,000 pages of paperwork. I'd like to do it as a granting opportunity first. And then next year, if it's successful, if they're able to bring more of these vets out of the woods and actually get them services, then we'd look at it on a grander scale. But right now, this would take all that weight off of them for being able to service them. I'm gonna go ahead and tell a story where $281 saved us a fortune when one of the veterans here, coordinators went out there and figured it was the best thing they could do is to get this person home, send them out of here. They were in trouble with the law. They were already guilty. They were looking to go and spend time in jail over and over again. It was gonna cost us. And he went to the judge and says, what if we just got him to go home? You know, how would that work, basically? And he was able to talk the judge into saying, yeah, but if we see him again, he goes to prison. So for $281 out of his own pocket, he sent him home and saved us. Can't tell you how much, because you can't guess, you know, how long he'd been here, especially if it's somebody that's not gonna conform, no matter what the judge says. Like that, not the same person. Remember that thing we had with the judge? 7 different times. The judge says, just apologize, you don't have to. Good luck. He writes us a letter and still wants to go to jail. This was a great opportunity, but that's just one of many. Being able to get them the shower token, being able to get them food when they actually need it right now, even though they don't actually have a residence here yet, so they can't take advantage of some of the VA stuff. Trying to drag it out and make it longer, that was the niche of what we're trying to do, just trying to start the pocket to give them the opportunity to see how well they can ride that out and help these veterans for a small amount of investment. Again, the VA kept talking about return on investment. I don't think they understand what a return on investment is, because everything they were talking about was not a return on investment. This would be. We invest $2,500 north, $2,500 south. I think we get people out of the woods. I think we keep people out of trouble. I think we actually get a return by them becoming bigger part of the community for a very small price.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you think, do you kind of envision it, you said a granting process?
Yeah, I'm gonna work with him, and Marty, he's not here, Dave is helping me to put something together very simple. Before we would spend the money and put it out, it would come to us to approve it and have it go out at that point. This is just to have it in the budget.
So would you envision that in a granting process from the Veterans Fund
No,
or out of
out of
non-departmental?
non-departmental,
Okay.
one-time amount of 5,000.
I'm good with that.
What about the levy?
So, again, my preference would be to do it as a transfer. You know, I think there's certainly a need for it, you know, that exists. But I think being able to, you know, being able to track it this way, this year, I think would be good, especially with the tiny homes project coming on and seeing what the influx is gonna be and what other services come along with that project. I think it might be good for us to just keep our powder dry, do the transfer, get them the money that they need this year, and then, you know, look at it with the improvements that are coming into the system next year, and then do it that way. That's my opinion of it, you know, like, I mean, have a conversation.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
And again, I would hope, you know, they definitely need stability, we all know that. They've utilized their money very well compared to any other organization we've had. They don't bust the budget or anything, but they do have a lot of needs. And they've come in the past and asked us, and we've never been able to help them. This is one time we have the capacity to be able to do it. If you don't set it up for the long term, it will disappear in the middle when they need it the most. That's why I asked that we go ahead and actually make the adjustment that I think we should have made some, you know, several years ago, 7 years ago. So I'm asking you, please consider doing the other and doing it as a levy shift to increase their levy amount.
Yeah, I mean, if there's two that go along with it, you know, I'm not gonna fight it. Certainly, I think the transfer is cleaner, but, you know, if there's a consensus, I wanna get the money into their hands, you know, and do it in a way that works for staff, and, you know, so, you know, I'm not gonna jam the process up over something like that, but it's just a preference on how, not what.
No, I got you. Would you consider the levy shift so that we can move forward, so they'll have the stability for many years to come instead of?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you. Thank you both for both parts of it. There's no secret, you guys are both very veteran, pro-veteran. And I want to make that really clear, even if we had disagreed, it wouldn't have changed that.
Okay, so we will increase the levy to the amount that they proposed earlier this year in April, I believe, or,
Yeah, I'm not sure what they proposed, because it was us that proposed it, but.
I think it came to 40, what they proposed was 43, because it would, what they were looking for was a 50% increase
Yes.
over what they're currently getting,
Yes.
which would be about $43,000.
Yes. So, but whatever that levy amount is, you'll have to figure that
right.
out.
And then, when you start to crunch the numbers, if you could just let us know then what the difference between the new levy rate and then the max.
Okay.
So
Oh, the max?
Oh, the max.
for that, well, I mean, what, you know, 'cause
Yeah.
To see how-
again, just sort of anticipating that we're gonna have more veterans in the community with the tiny homes project.
Yes.
And just trying to understand
And I think
what that means.
Yes,
I think you're
because the
right.
max authorized under RCW is rather large.
I was gonna say, I never even contemplated, that's the
Yeah,
term.
but we'll come up with the
I'm
details.
curious what that is.
Okay. You know, I think the other thing that I would be interested in is, you know, really looking at the traffic policing, but I think we can wait until the end and do the difference.
Okay.
Do the difference there.
See
You know,
where we're at.
when I came into this, I wanted to entertain a reduction in that. Didn't necessarily have a number in mind, just to begin the process of sort of trailing that off so that there's, you know, not a continued reliance on that, I think was fair, so.
I wanted you to know that when I met with them, you know, I agree with you, that's been something that's been important to you, and I think it's wise if we can take the pressure off them, so they don't have to dance so much at the very end to try and make it. I thought that was a wise move, so I asked them to try and put something together to support your position on that. I think it is good if we can do it. I'd like to be able to take that pressure off this year.
So is everyone in agreement to come back to that then?
Yeah,
At this
it's
time?
possibly,
Yes.
hopefully like in a
Okay.
few minutes.
Yeah, the question becomes whether we can do some of
Is it-
this as one time and still have that number in there.
Yeah.
Because I think you would agree that we want it to be in there in perpetuity, not just a one-time,
The reduction?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's, again, just to kind of reduce the reliance on that is, I think is really important going forward, and I think our tip cap folks will appreciate that as well.
You think?
Yeah.
Now, historically, it's been about around 200,000 there, we use the 160 probably take away the pressure. I'm actually looking over it. Would 160 help take away that pressure?
Any reduction in traffic diversion is gonna lessen the pressure of what we have to do. We can make work whatever we need to make
Yes.
work, but yes, any reduction in the traffic diversion money would help.
I want you to know that Jen let me know that you've done such a fantastic job with it, that she actually thinks you guys are gonna be safe this year, but the pressure is still the pressure. So if we get the
So-
pressure off of you, that will give you the ability to use that money better.
Yes, we're working on what the rest of 2019 looks like. It's probably about a little that we're taking and, keeping an eye on, but yes, I know that the undersheriff and the sheriff would certainly like to appreciate any entertainment of that idea.
And this does include the other things that we had mentioned, the one time for the auditor's office?
No, those are still in PORs at this point.
Would that be one time, right? Out of any fund balance? Not,
The 12 in overtime for the auditors would be one time, yes.
and the computer software?
That would also be a one time.
So, on those two, I think I would be most interested in moving the auditor overtime into the maintenance level now. Allow them to get started on that work in the first quarter. But I think the software we can come back to as a supplemental next year. I think, I think there's a good discussion to have around that, and certainly get parity between our public defender and the prosecutor's office. But I think there are some things, and that would be one of the items that I think we can come back and address next year, once we realize the ending fund balance, once that comes in reality,
Yes.
versus just wagging at it.
Makes sense.
Thoughts on that?
No, it makes sense.
The program for
Yeah, the case
prosecutor's
management.
office and,
Yeah,
But it does make more sense if we don't have to budget now we're gonna have the ending fund balance, we're gonna have several million. So that'd be the better time to be dealing with supplementals out of that. That keeps us from making the mistakes of putting positions in that can't be funded on the long term if we're dealing with individuals as a supplemental.
and then, Commissioners, I'd like to entertain a conversation around the travel, and taking that to more in line with our 2019 actuals, and then handling requests throughout the year for travel, and and just as a way to, again, look at that more as a one-time, it's one of those one-time reoccurring expenses, but I think if we get closer to 2019 actuals for our 2020 budget, certainly don't want to stand in the way of people going out for training. I think that's really important, and I think that's been a priority for this commission over the past couple of years. But I think there's an opportunity to get it more in line with actuals, and then, fund those as the opportunities present themselves.
So if I understand, in maintenance level is $163,000 worth of travel and training. Projection for 2019 is to spend $130,000. The proposal is to reduce the 163 to the 130,000, and then have departments come forward with their supplemental asks above what they spent in 2019. Did that make sense?
So far, I thought when we went through the process, we established that some of those things were already important. There was two.
That's the 130,000. They spent it this year.
Yeah, we had other ones that they had brought forward though that we had told them to put in the maintenance that were expended. There was other things that we didn't agree to, or I didn't say we didn't agree to, we said to hold off, and that was the 22,000 for travel and training on the bottom.
Okay, so,
Does that make sense? Because we had told them that this fits within their travel, but then there was 22,000 more dollars that they wanted for travel that we.
that's still in PLRs?
Yeah, that we said to put to PLR. Because we went back to
So-
old numbers, we don't know what they had told us that they had to have.
So as I look at this, what is
So the
22 would be on, is the 22, 23 on top of what you have here is 2020 budgeted?
The 22 is not included in the maintenance level. So the 22 is in the remaining PLR amount over on the right, the 2020 remaining PLR amount.
The one includes.
So that is not in the maintenance level. What's in the maintenance level is 163.
Okay.
Now, not all of it may be in the adjustments to maintenance level, it may simply be in the maintenance level budget, because the adjustments, so the yellow column is a combination of the maintenance level budget plus adjustments comes to the yellow column. The 163 is in the yellow column. So that is what is currently on budget for 2020. What I thought I heard was to reduce that to the 2019 projected level, which would reduce that by about $32,000, $33,000 out of the proposed 2020 budget at this point in time.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so you want to,
And you're suggesting that we leave it there?
well, yeah, but I think we just need to talk about it and figure out. So we had all those meetings with them, and there was times where we said to put it in there because we thought, you know, this one had this requirement, this one had this requirement. If we go back to that other 2019 number, those things that we said disappear. Because there's different things that they needed this year when we met with them.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying that if we went with what is actuals for 2019, at least for the first quarter, if there were any travel or training, requirements in the first quarter that they needed, for sure, they would absolutely have the budget authority to do that. Beyond that, I think we have to begin to evaluate, if this is what the right amount of travel is.
And where the ending fund balance does come in.
And then, then again, it's another one of those situations where it's not an effort to stand in the way of the travel or training, but it's an opportunity to get us a little bit closer to where we need now. And then everybody will have the confident would have the right amount of budget authority.
So you're saying first pick it up in supplemental?
Yeah.
If
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
it'll help budget the thing now, I see where you're going with that. Yeah, okay. Now, maybe we can work with them though to help them to make it streamlined to be able to budget for those things that we had already told them.
Yeah, and I think, ultimately too, I think it'll be helpful going forward if we treat the travel similar to how we treat capital facilities requests and other, and other things. Put those as part of, put a description of what the travel and training is. I think that helps with transparency. I think that helps us understand, what's being required, and I just think it's a cleaner way. And then we have a better idea then of what's actually needed. And it's just, I think, a cleaner process that way, because even so, I mean, look, if we look at, where we were budgeted for 2019, we're looking like we're gonna come in $40,000 under on what we budgeted for travel for 19.
Because the prelim, the revised budget for 2019 was 171,000.
Then we're potentially coming in at
30.
130, maybe a little bit higher. So,
It means that we do it as one time, which is what we were talking about doing in the first place, we're just not putting in the budget, so 6 to 1, half dozen, the other works for me.
okay, so we're comfortable going to an actual based
Okay.
on 2019, if I'm hearing that correctly? Okay.
And just to be clear, just so I understand, the $2,000, that was an increase to pay for the attorney licenses in OPD, that is included in that 163,000 number. So we're gonna remove that out, and then they can come back and ask for an amendment to the budget next year, if they want to.
If that was
send them to
included in the
classes.
163.
Yeah, we'll run into a few things that way, but it
Yeah.
still comes out the same, it'll be one
Yeah,
time.
I mean, and if he wants, you know, Peter has the discretion that if that's something that's due in the first quarter, he'd be able to cover that
With what he
With
has.
budget
Yes.
authority,
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
budget authority, and then whatever he had in there beyond that would also be a one-time thing that we could address.
We've been real good with sticking with what we tell them, so if they come in and we give them a head nod, yes, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be supplemental at that moment, it could wait until the time comes, as long as we agree, which we've been good at. There's been time in the past where that was not exactly, the commission would say one thing and then change their mind. So I don't think we have that issue now.
So, quick back of the napkin math,
Got a number?
Back of the phone.
I have, I'll let you go first.
155. 155.
That was a little higher. Jen?
I don't have anything, I'm just making notes right now. If you want numbers, we'll have to take a recess.
How about that, let's do that. Okay.
So basically how I came to that was 187 minus 50 for the veterans, plus 12 for overtime to auditors, and plus 30 back in to cover the cost of, to reduce the budgeted travel.
Okay.
Now, when we last left off, we still, I don't know that you have them in here, we have to see, we had 25,000 for the public defender's office. We had 75,000 for juvenile detention. Did you put these in here?
But they're still sitting in
Still sitting in
PLR.
PLR.
So the 24,000 swapped for the public defenders is still in there. And what was the other? Oh, juvenile, yeah, that was 75,000.
So Frank, once more, what was your number?
155. Would you confirm the juvenile detention is in maintenance, or is it not? Because I don't see it on the list
The
here.
position,
Correct.
I didn't see that was supposed to be.
it is not in maintenance, it's right here. The one for 74,701.
Oh, gotcha, yes. That's right. The description doesn't define the staffing increase, yes.
So the 150 from, it was in the, public defenders, public defense, that is part of, that's the 35 that's going for the program, right? So that one is taken care of, the software,
That's software and hardware, the 40,150
but the, wasn't the 35?
was just the software.
Okay, but that's part of the 40.
And it was 34, that's part of the 40.
And now would maybe be a good time to go over the mental health transfers. We're out of balance. we are out of balance by $23,096. And I want to ask if the commission is okay with me adding to the transfers out in the mental health fund to make the amounts transferred in the current expense fund balance to that $23,096. So we would increase the transfers out of mental health and increase the transfers into current expense. The majority of that being in therapeutic court.
For a total of how much?
$23,096.
So where is the difference coming in?
The difference is coming in, there's $178 under in the clerk's office. So the clerk has 178 more in expenditures than in, the transfer out to the clerk. Then in juvenile, there's $617 under, so they have less expenses than the transfer out. The prosecutor's office has $5,899 less than the mental health, and therapeutic court has $29,434 more in expenditures.
And have you worked that through with all those offices and then with TST?
I have not talked to any of them. It was in the budget instructions that they're supposed to coordinate, so I have not followed up on that, but I will.
Might be good to do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then let's just leave that as a placeholder against our 155.
Okay.
I would imagine that's something we would want to do, commissioners. If that, once that's true, okay.
$30,000,
$23,096 for the net total.
23.
Yes.
Back on the juvenile court services, I'm seeing the 74,000, but on the remaining PR, I'm seeing 50.
Yes.
But you're saying that it's not included.
It's not included in the maintenance level. So what's included in their maintenance level is a negative 5,600. And so the 50,381 consists of the 28,000 for the reclass, 24,000 in OT, and negative 2,000 in training.
So I guess the question is though, is a little different than just maintenance. The 74,701, is that included in our total budget?
It's
Or is it still out there as a PR? Is it-
out there as a PLR. Anything in these last two columns is out as a PLR.
Just separating it out.
Yeah, both for staffing and requests, dollar
Let's
requests.
see, you jumped that third column too.
Yes, so that's one individual at $74,000, plus the additional ask.
Up there. So if they're asking for 441, you're just pointing at that, square that.
Oh,
Okay, so the 155 placeholder for the mental health takes us to 131.
mm-hmm. 132.
131.
Rounding.
Yeah. You round up, I round down.
Did you ever find out if they already signed the contract for the extra guards?
They have not.
Okay. they haven't signed the contract yet, then that also.
Come in front of the
Value
board,
that
yeah.
32 out. Okay.
So, it sounds like what's still out there is the juvenile detention, the OPD swap, and a reduction in traffic policing. And or not spending the 131,000, I guess, just to be fair, is also an option.
You mean doing away with travel and education, 131,000 or what?
No, what's left
Oh,
after.
okay. Or
get down
saving
to-
money.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
Okay, because the only other 131 was the.
yeah.
Save
Save.
for the travel.
Sometimes,
No, I got it.
sometimes that needs to be uttered in government situations. The money can be saved.
What? Sure. I've never heard of that.
I got like 2 laughs and I'll take it.
Got a snicker.
Well, I'm in favor of those positions that we had talked about. We definitely felt that they were important in the, between the juvenile and the 25,000 for public defense. Perhaps, and if we were to do that, perhaps we could still, as a one-time for this year, as they're going through their budget, their new way of budgeting, perhaps it can still be a one-time $100,000 relief to their traffic. Out of ending fund balance. Or it can be done as a supplemental in the beginning as well.
That's a very complicated process, and I
Oh,
wouldn't
that's right,
suggest that.
after we set the
Yeah,
levy.
once you set the levy,
yeah,
you
we
can't
do
make a
that.
change.
No, you're right. So it would have to be
So
one time.
if I may suggest, one option is to take the 75 for juvenile, 24 for the swap, that's 100. That leaves us 32,000. See how the 23,000 works on the treatment sales tax. With the 32, that's 30, 40, 55,000. And if that's all we have towards reducing traffic policing this year, at least that's a start.
Or we do the juvenile detention, hold off on the
Swap,
swap. Because I think.
and we do that
we
as a
can-
supplement.
Or, to track that this year, and that's, and then do the remainder to a traffic policing reduction.
Yeah, I don't know that we'd want to do it as a supplemental because it's contracts. So they either got to enter into the contracts or not enter into the contracts. You just get ready to reduce
I'm
the
trying to
contracts
recall
down.
when I believe those contracts come up mid-year. So he couldn't do it
But
mid-year.
I'm saying, we know what we get currently, and is that something we can live with for another year and revisit
Oh,
doing the
yes.
swap in 2021? In an effort to.
We already did give them a position. Now, he was explaining that it was an economy of scales thing, that we would have a much greater benefit though, with that extra 25,000, that would far outweigh the 25.
There is an economy of scale there.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to our master sheet for maintenance. And see what capacity we can find there. Then we can come back and revisit as a supplemental.
When does the contract for the jail patrol panel come in? We're already under contract?
I believe we're under, yeah.
Um, So the, you know, the one obvious one that kind of sticks out there maybe is the public safety testing that we could come back.
Oh, we already took that out.
We took that, you took that out already?
Yeah, that's green and it should be color coded.
It's part of the 141,100.
Can you get the property insurance to reduce?
Now, does that start January 1st, or has it already started?
It's already started.
And it is a solid 25%?
When you're there, give them hell on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, don't worry.
We went to a $2 million deductible, a quarterly self-retention. That's it.
Kelly, you said that the cell phones for the maintenance, they're using their own?
They're right now, they're physically using their personal cell phones.
What's your billing schedule on the TASER contracts? Do you know?
I believe we just entered into that one, so I'm gonna say probably end of the year, but I'd have to look at the contract to be certain. I think it's September, October.
That would make sense.
Because it was just signed.
Yeah, it's just.
So it would become effective shortly
They're
thereafter.
almost a year off on it, yeah.
I just wanna check and make sure that that's not a prepay. I don't think it is, but I wanna check and make sure.
Yeah, it could be, because that was part of the thing, we front-loaded a bunch of money in the beginning as the prepay,
For the first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just,
and we just entered into it, so.
absolutely.
I got you.
And there again, you can do the staffing increase to juvenile as a budget supplement request, once we see where the ending fund balance comes in.
I'd rather not, because that's gonna bow you forever, so I'd rather have that actually be in budget instead of hanging out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I could complicate things for a second.
Absolutely.
So, this also doesn't assume the 60K hit the current expense for IT, correct? Does it?
That's already in there.
It is, but, I
It's
mean,
in the
that's,
transfers.
it is in the transfers, but, I mean, that's a very touchy thing, because we can operate for one
I was
year.
gonna say, that becomes something we actually address next year, because it works the year
Mhm.
off. So it should be in there, too.
But it is in the
Yeah,
transfers.
okay.
Yeah, and then our rates will increase dramatically for 2021.
If it's not included in there.
Okay.
How much more capacity we need for the shift, for the,
So if we're looking at the 75 and the 24, that's 100,000. And do the traffic policing at 160?
No. I mean, I wasn't thinking that. I mean, I was thinking with whatever
whatever's
whatever's
remaining.
available without having.
So we have 132, potentially an addition, 155, if treatment sales tax gets resolved on the other side, not current expense. So 132, we take 100 for those two, that leaves us 32, either to bank or to put towards a traffic policing reduction.
Okay, so
And it could be 55 if we add the treatment sales tax.
I was gonna say, aren't we going to add the treatment sales tax though? Aren't we gonna, even for the behavioral health, are we going backwards on this, that we're supposed to be doing? Are we gonna take it from behavioral health and put it into the general fund, or are we taking from general fund into behavioral health?
We're taking from mental health and putting it into the general fund.
Yeah, so we're doing it as a negative.
But we need to balance, we need to have that money in order to balance. Otherwise, you know, if we don't remove it
Oh,
from.
because it's not.
From mental health, then we are out of balance in current expense, and then we would have to remove it. So we either need to add it or remove it to come in balance.
So either current expense ponies up to 23,000, or we get treatment sales tax to come up with the 23,000. Current expense doesn't have to
Yeah.
expend that then.
And we have the capacity in the treatment sales tax?
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
Yeah,
So
and
that
then-
would take the 23,000 away,
Correct.
correct?
Well, that would make it more.
Because you would push it back on them to cover the additional cost.
I still think have a conversation with Casey and Lydia about that, because I'm pretty sure they've been having conversations with therapeutic courts and others
Okay,
on that as well. So, but, I mean, I'd like to try to dig into that a little bit more and get it right.
okay.
You know, and if that's the case, then we have that option, so that's probably fine, but
So,
just wanna double check.
so if you want to leave it at this stage to include the 75,000 for juvenile
Mhm.
and the swap, that leaves us with 32,000.
But we can agree if they, now that if they go back to them and they can do it within the capacity, that we can add that to it.
And then we can come back at our next briefing when we have
And may not have to
special,
come back with the
yeah, special funds review.
We could just say to do that and put that towards the,
Yeah, because that's what we do anyway, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
well, that's mine also, so let's just say that.
All right, so then,
If the capacity's
if it's there,
add
take it.
add it
If
to
not,
the sheriff's.
it's 32,000 to reduce the traffic policing. Okay?
If it's there, how much to reduce traffic police? Just like a record.
32,000, 33,000.
If it's there,
But we
I'm
need
sorry,
to
if
add
it's
that.
there, it'll be 55,000.
55, thank you. That ain't a lot, but it would help.
Start.
Okay. I think we're good. We'll summarize that and we'll be back in our next,
We didn't have anything scheduled for next week. Monday's a holiday.
so.
Thought we had
should-
Tuesday
Tuesday
scheduled.
scheduled, do we have Tuesday?
Tuesday, Jen was gonna go over her 2019 budget amendments, and then you have the ER&R and RFP recommendation. in the
Can we
morning.
fit this into?
Like I said, I'm comfortable with this. If we've already agreed to do that, then it's,
Then we come back on the 18th.
Well, if you want on Tuesday, the 12th, in the support services briefing, if you wanna just
Yeah.
maybe recap
And
us
do
how
we
that
have-
works.
and what else do we have outstanding in the special funds?
Just a nod as to yes, no, that everything is,
Just the capital items, that was a big one that we, need for roads, utilities, and ER&R. Everything else, I
well,
believe.
yeah, we
is
still had to talk
maintenance.
about the positions for roads.
Oh, yes, the positions. Forgot about those.
So, yeah, I think we should make some time on Tuesday.
So, just out of curiosity, is there any issue with that? They have it within their capacity, without a doubt. I'm still upset over some of the stuff that we went through there, but those positions itself, I'm just curious where you guys are sitting on that. They definitely have it within their capacity, that's not an issue.
Yeah, my hesitation was just seeing where we'd land on traffic policing. So, once that's cleared up, I think there's, yeah, so.
So do we want to put something on Tuesday for afternoon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock? Just a quick summary and then go over this and the special funds?
Do you, for the morning, for the RFP and ER&R review, how long do you think that's going to take?
We have 10 to 12, that should be plenty of time.
So you think you'll take that entire 2
Yeah.
hours? Okay. So 1 o'clock for 2020 budget?
I like
Mhm.
that.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, commissioners? And then- Okay, all right, with that, we'll adjourn until Tuesday.